Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're shortcutting you right into a really interesting question. Why did traditional sports radio, this huge cultural force, completely ignore radio-controlled racing? Even though, radio is right there in the name.
Yeah, it's a fascinating silence, isn't it? We're calling it the analog silence.
Yeah.
Our mission today is really to unpack why that happened. It wasn't an accident. There were fundamental reasons, basic incompatibilities that kept RC off the airwaves.
Okay, let's set the scene first. Scale. Traditional sports radio, we're talking way back, like 1921 with KDKA. It built this incredible theater of the mind. Think Al Michaels, 1980 Olympics. Millions hanging on every word. That's mass appeal.
Huge appeal and huge money. You mentioned WFAN selling for $70 million. That was back in 91. That tells you the kind of mass audience and advertising dollars we're dealing with.
Right. Now contrast that with RC racing.
Totally different universe, really. The first commercial RC car, that was what, 1966? So decades later. And from the get-go, it was built differently. It was for the participants, the hobbyists. Sure, you got organizations like ORRBRCA forming pretty early, like late 60s, early 70s, to formalize things. But it was fundamentally a hands-on thing for enthusiasts, not designed for a passive mass audience listening on the radio. Deeply technical.
So right away you see this mismatch. It sounds like it was never really going to work on traditional radio. Let's get into those core reasons, the barriers during RC's sort of golden era, the 70s and 80s. First one you mentioned was money.
Yeah, the economic inviability. It's barrier number one. Commercial radio is expensive. You need big audiences to attract advertisers. Broad consumer advertising. Think cars, beer, banks. The RC audience, well, it was passionate, sure, but tiny in comparison. And scattered all over in local clubs. There just wasn't enough concentrated or enough advertising money from, niche RC manufacturers to support expensive radio time.
Okay, that makes sense financially, but hang on, couldn't the small local AM station maybe run club races just for cheap content? Or was there something else stopping it? Like, was it just too hard to describe?
That's exactly the next point. The technical difficulty, the visual dependency dilemma was probably even bigger than the money.
Yeah.
Think about what makes radio sports work. Sound cues, the crowd noise, the crack of the bat, the whistle.
Right, things you can hear.
Exactly. RC racing. It's almost silent, comparatively. You've got maybe 8 little 110 scale buggies zipping around. They all sound pretty much the same, just this electric whine. They look similar from a distance. Trying to describe that chaos, who's passing who, where they are on the track, purely with audio, it's incredibly difficult. The theater of the mind just breaks down. There's no real audio anchor for the imagination.
Ah, I see. So even if you had the money, the broadcast itself would be confusing, maybe even boring for anyone not already an expert.
Precisely. And that leads to the third barrier. There's already a better way for enthusiasts to get their information.
You mean print?
Exactly. Print magazines were king. RC Car Action was like the Bible for racers back then. Think about what they offered. Detailed technical articles, setup sheets, diagrams, high-quality photos of the cars and the parts. Radio, audio only, could never, ever replicate that level of visual and technical depth. For the serious hobbyist, print was indispensable. Audio was irrelevant.
So, okay, the analog world traditional radio was just fundamentally incompatible. Too expensive, too visual, and print did the job better. But things change. How did the digital age finally give RC racing its broadcast voice, bypassing radio entirely?
Well, digital solved all those core problems. It created these functional equivalents that worked for this specific niche. Take podcasts first. They blew up the cost and reach problem. Suddenly, it's super cheap to produce a show. You can have hyper-specialized podcasts, like you mentioned, RC Plane Lab or RC Roundtable. You can reach that scattered global audience direct. It's like a digital hobby shop, You get expert talk, industry news right to your earbuds.
Okay, so that tackles cost and reach. Well, what about the visual problem, the difficulty of describing the race?
Live streaming. That was the game changer. Platforms like Liversea.com and others. They cracked it by combining live video, crucially, with real-time scoring overlays, and then integrated audio commentary.
Ah, so you see the race and you hear commentary tailored to what you're seeing.
Exactly. And the commentary itself is different. It's not trying to build the theater of the mind for a general audience. It's commentary by experts, for experts. It's rapid fire. Uses insider terms, assumes you know the drivers, the cars, the context. You can follow 8 tiny cars because you see their numbers, you see the timing screen, you see the track position, while the commentator highlights the key battles or mistakes. It works because the visual is primary.
So it becomes less about passive listening and more about active participation almost, validating your own knowledge as you watch and listen.
That's a big part of it, yeah. It fosters that sense of community, that shared expertise. It's engaging because you understand the nuances being discussed while you watch the action unfold.
It's fascinating how the tech evolved to finally fit the sport.
And what's really interesting, I think, is that even with all this tech, the core appeal still comes down to the human element. The radio and radio control is just the tech link, the frequency. But the appeal of the broadcast, whether it's a podcast talking strategy or a live stream calling a race, it's about the person driving, their skill, their decisions under pressure, their story. That's what connects us, regardless of the medium.
That really brings it home. And it leaves us with a thought for you, the listener. RC racing needed the digital age, needed streaming and specialized platforms to build its media community. So what other highly technical, maybe niche sports rely almost entirely on today's digital tools, podcasts, streaming, online communities to connect their fans and participants globally, completely bypassing the old gatekeepers of traditional media? Something to think about until our next deep dive.